Well, here we are, just about to leave. It's Thursday morning. We've got Jonathan just about all packed and ready to go, and it's actually not unpleasant out here. It's about 38, 39 degrees. Supposed to get 4 inches of snow tonight and into tomorrow, so I'm sorry for everyone in Barrington about that. But I'm heading out just in time. And here we go, about ready to start. Let's have a trip. So, spoiler alert, I made it to Winchester, Virginia just fine. It was a great day, a lot of good driving. Weather was actually pretty cooperative. Traffic wasn't too bad. A lot of tractor trailers on the road. I guess that's just a thing these days. I was shocked. I'd say 50% of the vehicles I passed were tractor trailers. And you'll probably see this in the video that I share with you. A couple things. One, I'm going to share with you a time lapse of my travel. It's not going to be too long. I'm guessing about 2.5 minutes. Feel free to jump forward if you don't care. But I actually thought it was kind of neat to see some of the changes in the scenery and in the just, golly, the level of population that I drove through today. And one thing a couple things to note. One, you don't get to see, I don't think, all the farms that I drove through in Pennsylvania. I specifically took video of some time lapse of me driving through farmland, but on the highway, it all just looks like highway unless you look to the left or the right, and the camera didn't do that at all. So a lot of highway. Another thing, golly, it was only 11 miles in Maryland. So Maryland's going to fly by like it wasn't even there. So that was interesting. As I said, 8 states, and I tried to stop by or stop and take a picture of each welcome to X state sign as I passed by. I did it in every state except for 2, and in those instances, it just wasn't safe for me to pull off to the side of the road and take a picture. So I have a camera that's on my dashboard and easy for me to take a picture from the dash. So I did that instead. But enjoy seeing the different state signs. Gosh, Virginia still has a Virginia for Lovers. That reminds me of like the 1980s, but it's still there. So enjoyed this little video time lapse of my trip from Barrington, Rhode Island to Winchester, Virginia. So one of the things I wanted to do on this trip, as I've been traveling through the country, part of this is, obviously a big part of this is going and wheeling in Utah. I'm really looking forward to getting off the road and four-wheeling through some of the mountains and just the wilderness in Utah. It'll be a very different experience than New England. We're so rocky with like small boulders and mud and trees, and everything is in the woods. In Utah, it's going to be so different. But the part of the point of the trip is also to really enjoy our country, to see parts of the country that I don't spend a whole lot of time in. I've never even been to a number of the states that I'm driving through on this southern swing. When I've driven from Colorado to New England, we did take a southern route, but it wasn't as far south as I'm going now. So that'll be neat. And so one of the things that I did when I came here to Winchester, I specifically got a hotel here in the historic section of Winchester. I'm at the George Washington Hotel, right in the historic district. And so I went for a little walk when I got here this evening after I settled in the hotel before it got completely dark. And I had a beautiful little time walking through the historic district of Winchester. And I took a number of photographs. It wasn't my plan. I actually just saw a couple of sites. I was like, ooh, that looks neat. Or, oh, I want to take a picture of that. And it evolved. And I ended up taking a number of pictures. There'll be a short slideshow that I want to share with you now. I will also say that I debated as I was walking and taking pictures. It started off as I wanted to take pictures of things that I really enjoyed and that made me smile, or just were of historic nature that were romantic to me. You'll see a slide, a pair of slides here that I really didn't want to include under that criteria. But it's a part of who we are as a country. It's a part, obviously, of Winchester, Virginia. And I felt it was important to represent, at least, you know, what little I've seen, all the sides of Winchester. So I share with you this slideshow. And obviously I'll follow up on a couple of slides when I talk a little bit later about kind of my spiritual thought for the day today. So enjoy these slides of the historic downtown Winchester, Virginia. So I wanted to share with you my song for the day at this point. My song for the day is Honeysuckle Blue by a band called Drivin' and Cryin'. This goes back to about 1989, maybe 1990, probably 1989. Drivin' and Cryin' was a South Carolina band. They were a college band. I had a buddy of mine that went to Clemson, and he saw them in concert regularly. I actually had a chance to see them in concert in Denver, Colorado about 5 years after this. But they released a song called Honeysuckle Blue, which one of the lyrics talks about being in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And so here in Winchester, Virginia, I am right on the edge of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and listened to this song and a lot of driving and crying my last hour of the drive today. So take a moment if you get a chance and watch the official video of Honeysuckle Blue by Drivin' and Cryin'. So my centering thought, or my spiritual thought, I keep calling it a centering thought, my spiritual thought for today really came to me as I was walking. I had a number of thoughts that came to me while I was driving, but as I was walking through the historic district and I saw the statue commemorating the Confederate soldiers and celebrating their loyalty to the South. It really struck me, and it struck a chord. This morning before I left, I was reading news and watching some news, and I've mentioned this before, so I apologize for those of you that have heard this either in sermons or in prayers or at other times, the divisions and the divisiveness that exists in our country. I don't know where we're going. I don't know what the future will hold, and that weighs heavy on me, and it grieves me. I think we've lost a lot as a nation as far as respect for one another and differences. We've come so far in trying to open up our minds and open our hearts to people who are different than us, and to be welcoming of different populations, LGBTQ plus communities, people of color, people of different ethnicities, and yet we are more divided as a country now than I've certainly ever experienced in my 50 plus years of living and what I can imagine. So all that's kind of negative. So I apologize for my spiritual thought today being a little bit of a downer, but it really is a question that I've wrestled with for 5 years now, is how can we, or can we, as a country, how can we begin to bridge some of the divides that exist within us? Should we? Can we? And if the answers to those are yes, then how can we begin to find some sort of unity and respect for one another and all of everybody? It's difficult. So I want to harken back to my the song that I shared earlier. I listened, as I said, to a number of songs from driving and crying today, bringing me back to my college days. And there's a song that I didn't pick as my song for the day because I loved the Blue Ridge Mountains reference in the previous song that I mentioned. But there's a song that they have called "The Innocent." And it starts off with a monologue before it breaks into the song. And the monologue, to me, is it harkens back to historic U.S. documents. It harkens back to our forebears, but brings a different light to it. And they ask, or they say, "We the people of these united rights, in order to form a more perfect union, find that we can find the common ground that we have absolutely nothing in common at all." And that is interesting that I heard that song today, pulling through Virginia, West Virginia, into Virginia. Hadn't heard those lyrics in 20 or 30 years, and how it had impacted me in light of where we find ourselves nowadays. And then to see the statue, the commemoration for the Confederate soldiers, it just is, you know, for someone who's a New England Yankee, it just, what a tremendous difference in the way we view history, in the way we view our country, in the way we view our past, and ideally, or not ideally, but realistically, the way we view our future as well. So I don't want us to dwell, and I hope our comments don't spiral into hate and divisiveness. I go back to my question being, should we find common ground? Can we find common ground? And if the answer to those two questions are yes, then the question is, how do we find common ground? I believe in my heart that God calls us to be united and respectful and loving of one another. And so I guess I move with the default that the answer to those first two questions is yes, but I have no idea how to move forward with the third question. And so I guess I just invite God and you and the Spirit to move amidst us and to bring us some of the answers that we so desperately need in this world at this time. So I think that brings us to the end of our video today. Been a great day, been a good day. A lot of sitting on my tush, driving in the car. As I said, a lot of traffic, a lot of semis, but a good day, and able to touch base with family. And, you know, I'll save it till tomorrow, maybe, to talk a little bit about COVID and the impact of COVID on the trip, because it's definitely impacting the trip. But I still chose to do the trip regardless. But I think I'll sign off for today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for praying for me while I'm on this journey. So far, so good. And I pray that it continues to go well. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.